Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to Lawrenceville, Georgia. Day 2 recap of the A.I.I. Baseball Championship as starting pitching controls the trend here. Game 4 matchup between Fisher and Edward Waters as the Falcons would roll out Kelvin Guzman, who would pitch pretty well in the contest, 7 2/3 innings, giving up 9 hits as he run into a Tiger offense that had just enough base hits to produce a victory for the Tigers. Meanwhile, they stood Richard Edwards on the mound for Edward Waters. He would let the defense work for him throughout the day, inducing a lot of ground balls, striking out 4 in the contest as Edwards would walk only 1 in the ball game and go through the heart of the order with a 3-run lead late in the contest. A lot of momentum and emotion invested into this game for Edward Waters. They would tack on some extra runs, some insurance with a pinch hit RBI by Ricardo Mateo to give the Tigers a 5-1 lead, and that would be all that was needed for the starter. Richard Edwards goes the complete game distance, picking up the win for the Tigers as they would save off an elimination and send the Fisher Falcons home in the first game of the day. Edward Waters would have a lot of momentum going into the nightcap. As for Game 2, we bounce to the top of the bracket. Georgia Gwinnett, the top seed, versus Talladega, the 2 seed, as these two teams had high hopes and expectations for this tournament, as Georgia Gwinnett would turn to Trevor Bradley. Fields his position as a shortstop, pretty well turned pitcher today, and it turned out pretty well for him. Bradley would get an out early, but then give up a run in the first as Talladega would follow up with a sacrifice ground ball to the right side, giving a man up. And then, nothing given up there. Emilio Martinez rakes a base hit into left field, and it's Talladega trying to pull the upset up 3-0 early. As the Grizzlies would get some help with a line drive double play, Tornadoes leave a couple base runners out there early. They may regret that later on. However, Bradley stays the course for GGC, continues to battle, continues to go out there as Chris Jones comes in and saves the day for the Grizzlies and records the first out of the inning. Meanwhile, GGC would try to get that tide to turn on their favor. The man helping that out was Rodney Tenney. 3-for-4 performance with 2 walks and 3 runs scored on the day. Bradley in the fourth. This is when momentum would turn for the Grizzlies. They would get a base hit by Brady Shop down the right field line as Jean-Paul Rodriguez would be all the way on his horse and scoring from first base on the play. Not to be outdone, Brady Shop on his thoroughbred slides in safely as the Grizzlies would have a triple and cut the deficit 2-1. Grizzlies would trail 3-2. Shop not done. Guns a runner out at second. No need for a slide. He's toasting, headed to the dugout. 2 batters later, Deion Sellers, 4-3 double play to get the Grizzlies out of that jam. And then the top of the 6th, Chris Jones keeps that momentum back over to the third base dugout. A hustle double for him, and the tying run is in scoring position. Couple batters later, Deion Sellers, single up the middle with the bases loaded, scores 2, and for the first time on the day, GGC takes the lead with a 4-3 advantage in the top of the 6th inning. Both Soto and Jones would come in to score. High fives and hugs all around for GGC. Huge 6th inning setting up as Marcus McCorkle would follow up with a 2 RBI single. The Grizzlies would go up 6-3. In total, Georgia Gwinnett would hang 6 runs up in the 6th inning alone. Shop and Cade Kerrigan would add bases-loaded walks as the Lugnuts would start to come loose for Talladega. They would remove their starter and Daniel Castillo, and the Grizzlies would just pour on the runs late. Trevor Bradley goes back out of the mound, now with them an advantage, and he pitched extremely well. Cade Kerrigan tracks down a ball in left field. Bradley scatters 10 hits, gives up just 3 earned runs, walks 2, and strikes out a total of 7. Complete game victory for the Grizzlies starter on the mound. Then in the nightcap, Cows of the Ozarks versus Edward Waters in elimination game. The starter for the Tigers would be Frederick Bells. He would go toe-to-toe with Jensen McWhorter. This is the leadoff man, and Brian Rodriguez, who gets hung up in a rundown, slides in safely into third. He would score on a sac fly by Miguel Beltre. 1-0 advantage for the Tigers. Bells would get a pitcher's best friend. 1-6-3 double play, and the Tigers would keep the advantage early. Then it was McWhorter back on the bump. He would go toe-to-toe. 1-0 would be your score the first 5 innings of the contest as we had a pitcher's duel Sunday night under the lights here in Lawrenceville. as Bells would scatter only 3 hits and 2 walks. 5 base runners in total would reach base for the Bobcats. However, Kyle the Ozarks catch a little momentum. This is Rasmussen, throws out a runner at second base, and Kyle the Ozarks feeling the momentum, trying to come back in this contest, only down a run, trying to provide some run support for Jansen McOrder. This would be the closest the Bobcats would ever get. A wild pitch will put the tying run at second base in the top of the 5th inning. Bells settles right in, goes to the hot corner, and a ground ball fielded well by the third baseman in Tyler Rich. Edward Waters then would score some runs. They would get some insurance for their starter in Bells. This would be Alberto Rivera with an RBI single that gives the Tigers a 2-0 advantage. Then Bells would have to go right through the heart of the order. J.D. Payne, the big bat for the Bobcats, deep fly out to left, would take a lot of the wind out of the sail for the Bobcats. And Rich makes another nice play over at third. Then it would be Carlos Carrera, the first baseman. Goes 2 for 3 on the day, delivers a 2 RBI base hit there. Edward Waters would go up 5-0, and that would provide some breathing room for Frederick Bells. Complete game victory, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts as the theme of the day continues. Starting pitching going the complete game distance, advancing their team into the bracket. As we take a look at the latest here, Georgia Gwinnett in that championship game at 3 o'clock tomorrow. They'll await the winner of Talladega and Edward Waters, as those two met all the way back in game number 2 of this tournament. And so a rematch, and maybe Edward Waters with a little revenge on their mind as they have a quick turnaround, 7 o'clock p.m. game tonight to the 11 a.m. game tomorrow. And fans, you can watch all the exciting play-by-play action right here on the Grizzly Digital Network. At 11 a.m. also will hand out the winner to the winner of that contest will get the second automatic bid out of the A.I.I. So a fantastic contest. You want to tune in early to our website, grizzlyathletics.com. For the latest information, log on to AIIsports.com. For our entire cast and crew from Lawrenceville, Georgia, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm Matt Mahoney.